Now on BBC Two, building a dream home is all in the detail.
Getting the builders in is up there in the stress stakes, along with divorce, swapping jobs and moving house.
Stop, 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 stop!
It can be a time of high emotion.
So that thing is stopping me from having toilets where I actually really want them.
Chaos.
This is the bathroom, which will be a bedroom, shouldn't be wet.
Financial and personal strain.
It just costs £2,500 to change those.
I don't owe you £9,600.
For your support.
Many of us want to improve our homes,
I think that's fine.
to add value or adapt to modern living.
Let's put it this way. September, we have a roof.
But as we strive to see our vision become a reality,
It's crisis management at the moment.
the relationship we have with our builder is crucial. It's all about trust and respect.
So whose fault's that one, then?
I mean, a lot of builders would walk off now.
Well, you must have approved the drawings.
I told him to stop telling me not to worry.
Lose it, and it could spell disaster.
Job's gone to pot, lad.
Sandbanks in Poole, Dorset, is one of the UK's premier holiday destinations. The area is home to Kerry Amabile and her husband Gino and their 2 children, Gianni and Luca.
Very palatial property, I have to say, millions of pounds worth on that peninsula. Harry Redknapp living there with the Bournemouth and Poole beaches. They always get a Blue Flag Award every year. We're down there a lot, aren't we, now?
Yep.
Like many people who holiday on the south coast, Kerry and Gino have a static caravan. But unlike most, theirs came from an online auction and sits in their own front garden.
Everyone's laughing when they, you know, walk past our neighbours saying, "Hi, holiday makers," but actually, yes, most people will holiday in a caravan, but for the next 6 months, this is actually our home. The caravan is practically a foot away from the pavement, so we are kind of a bit in a goldfish bowl, really.
For the past 4 years, they've lived in Broadstone, a town and suburb of Poole. But their home is unsuitable for their growing family, and they want to remodel.
We knew we didn't want to move anywhere else. This was going to be the sort of forever home, if you like.
We were both brought up the seaside. My parents had a beach hut. We've now got a beach hut. So it was a no-brainer, really.
Naively, I thought, can we stay in the house at least for as long as possible before the last bit, and then we'll move out whilst they do the last bits of the project.
Because I'm such a tidy freak, and I didn't know how I was going to cope with the level of dust and grime, I had to come home to somewhere clean and tidy and safe. Gino has to put up with my tidiness, which he has done for the last... How long have we been married?
Lifetime. 12 years.
Everything has to be, you know, lined up in my cupboard. Otherwise, I don't like that very much, do I, Gino?
No.
No?
No.
Symmetry is at the very heart of Kerry and Gino's plans. They want to open up the ground floor to create an open-plan kitchen diner with sliding doors that lead to the garden. But first, they need to strip out the ground floor rooms.
We can cook that in. We have no...
The man they've hired for the job is architectural designer and builder Nick Cuddy.
I've been in the building game for 40 years now and designing from probably for about 38 of those. So over that period of time, you sort of more or less see everything. There's been a shift in what people want on their wish list, but over the years, you adapt and somebody might know exactly what they want. Then the other end of the spectrum, you've got somebody who says, I need some more space, I don't know what it is. Can you help me?
So we won't have that kind of, it'll be more straight and bring the ensuite down.
Mm-hmm. At least that'd be something in the front.
Because all of that's going to be newly rendered, isn't it?
Yes.
As well as the kitchen diner renovation, the garage is being moved forward to create space behind it for a utility room and a toilet. They're raising the roof and constructing an extra room upstairs.
And then at a later date, someone then can use it as a 4th bedroom. I mean, it's going to be my walk-in wardrobe, obviously.
Thought it might have been Gino's bedroom.
No, he's not allowed to have a walk-in.
That's my bit.
Knowing that we were going to live there until our retirement years, I just wanted to take my time to get a feel for the property and then really have an understanding of how we could make that property work.
Kerry and Gino wanted a local builder, but there's local and local.
Here's our building, and that's the architect's bungalow just there next door but one. It is really nice knowing that, you know, he's close by, so if anything goes wrong, he's a stone throw away, quite literally.
It's very close, and that was what was quite unusual, I felt. And people do say, you know, never mix business with pleasure. Well, we don't quite see it like that, but also, you've got to be confident on your own doorstep, haven't you? So
You can't escape. If all goes wrong, we come with sledgehammers. No, we don't.
One of my perceptions, if I'm honest, was, are you going to get a builder who's a bit of a rogue trader? You see a lot of it on the telly. They come round, they rip you off, they give you a rubbish job. I always think if your neighbour's that much involved in such a massive project, he's not going to want to get it wrong.
and then tray over the top.
I'm not getting so worried or so stressed out about our building work. It's because I know them and I trust them and I like them.
It's the end of week 1. The works are due to be completed in 18 weeks' time. They have a budget of £150,000 to work with.
With every client we go to see, potential client, we go to see, there are 3 stages to their dream. There's planning, building regs and budget. They're paying a big chunk of money, so they want to see something for their money, and we understand that. But by the same token, we do it to make a living. At the moment, there's no provision in their budget for internal doors, believe it or not.
The budget is tight. I mean, I do budgets for a living, so my boss would expect me to have my budget completely under control. Probably 5 years, 10 years' time, when we start to pay a lot of that mortgage off, you know, we'll probably think, well, what were we worrying about in terms of the budget? But right now, it seems to be a big problem to deal with.
Gino and Kerry both work full-time. He's a school business manager and she's a teacher.
We both work really hard. We're both full-time working parents because we have to be. Why shouldn't we try and go for what we can go for? Because we deserve that. Why shouldn't I have a nice home?
In Broadstone, in less than 16 weeks, Kerry and Gino's building work is due to be finished. Living on site, they can't resist making daily visits to check on progress.
We said 6 recess.
Recessed,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a radiator going over there, though.
right.
In that corner, isn't there?
This
one
room
on that wall and one on that wall.
comes to here.
Oh,
BT.
look at that.
That's where we said no flip-flops.
With the building far from watertight, for now, Home Sweet Home is their 26 square metre caravan.
Well, the obvious cons is the size. You know, it's not a massive place to live in.
We have to get on with each other because you can't do anything else. There's no freezer in here. We've just got a fridge. So currently the freezer is going to be relocated to the existing garage so that we've got access to there.
Grab the chips. And then we've even come around this way a little bit. Our goldfish live out here as well now. So, God knows how they've managed to still survive.
All 4 of us are using that tiny toilet and shower space. I can't even put my arm span out. It's that tiny. We have water. Some people don't have water. Yay. So we have water. That's a novelty. You just gotta ram the door.
I did wonder if Kerry would be able to cope 5 months or so in a caravan.
Cope or not, it's too late now as nearly all the internal walls of their home have been removed. Self-employed builder Wayne Hawes is on site to begin remodelling the house.
Most of the people that are involved in the build we all know each other. You know, so it's in everybody's best interest to do a job where they can walk away from this job and everybody's happy. They've got that little bit of security where they think, well, they know full well they're going to get a bit of a personal touch and, you know, we're going to do a proper job for them because it's not only a good advert, but how embarrassing it would be if, if you didn't do a very good job and your name turned to mud.
Wayne's been really good at sort of explaining things to me, which has really helped because this is the first time we've done anything like this. So he's quite accommodating. But then equally, I do feed him lots of tea and coffee and biscuits. And that's Wayne's coffee.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Cheers.
Some might say that's bribing. Yep. Yeah.
What's bribing?
Feeding people things that are nice in order for them to
get something back
in order for them to do what we want them to do. That's what bribing is.
Because they haven't got any knowledge of the building industry, when you do stuff like this, it's a massive, every time they come home from work, it's a massive change. Like when we knocked all the walls out inside, so they go, wow, look, you know, because they think it's great. Although it's not as difficult as they think it is, it's like, oh, great, you know, you've made such a change already in a day or a week.
I almost get quite excited coming home from work because in my head I'm thinking, what have they done today? Because we're not in the property, they can work quicker because they don't have to tidy up at the end of the day and they're not working around us because we are totally out of their way.
The builders may not be working around Kerry, Gino and the kids, but they have another obstacle to deal with.
The problem is the caravan, obviously. They've done the right thing in moving out, but what we've now got to deal with is a single driveway access. We use the front garden for storage of building materials, and that's where Kerry and Gino have got their caravan, so we can't store building materials on their caravan.
And I don't think any of us appreciated when we started the job on how tight the site would get. So it's a bit of a logistic nightmare at times, but I think we'll just get small loads in at a time, really. The thing is, we can't get a skip on site at the moment, so all the rubbish is piling up a little bit.
In Broadstone, in 14 weeks the build is due to complete. But taking delivery and storing building materials is still an issue.
Got such a tight site here that you couldn't get any stuff delivered, so it's put him back a bit, I think. When you're waiting for skips or when you're waiting for other trades or when you're waiting for block deliveries, it is very frustrating, because it has a knock-on effect to your other jobs. I've seen Gino this morning. It seemed to be doing well, actually. I think they're coping in the caravan fairly well, I think.
Luca, do you want to sit here, please? Have you been in and checked on the fish?
No.
There's no room to put the fish in here, though, boys. OK.
Maybe I have a...
Right, go and have a look in the lounge, boys. But just stay...
Can't come back in.
Yeah, go on then. Doing on the sides now, look.
Oh, yeah, that wall. I haven't seen that one before.
No, apparently our end of our room comes out to there.
It's good fun, though, isn't it? Don't you think?
I've had better fun.
Oh, no, I love it. I'm really enjoying watching the changes.
Because they're living on top of it, they can see it every day, they can come in and have a look at it, they can get their tape measure out, and they go along and say, it's not actually exactly in the middle.
There is the ensuite.
What, here to here?
And down here for a bit.
Am I right in saying that from this point all the way through, that is our bedroom? It's completely open plan living, really. So you've got your lounge, kitchen, diner, all in one go. Oh, they've taken down the
Not quite central.
On a site visit, Kerry and Gino notice that the opening for the sliding patio doors is not symmetrical. The wall is wider on one side by 10 centimetres.
I guess I have got a bit of an eagle eye, really. I'll spot something straight away, and they do laugh about that. Like, just little things like from a distance, I'll just see that a light switch isn't horizontal. They know I'm going to spot something. But then, so I should. It's my home, and I want it to look lovely.
Now, this was a natural position to put this side of this particular doorway because it was the edge of the bathroom window. They'd approved it, in essence, when we submitted the plans for planning permission. I think that the room does not depend on that opening being symmetrical.
There were two requirements, one of which kind of goes back to Kerry's symmetry, kind of OCD kind of thing. You know, on the openings of the back of the house, we wanted the walls either side to be central. We wanted the opening to be central to the two walls aside.
How often do we, in our lives, wake up in our house thinking, That door's not symmetrically positioned in the wall. It's just a nonsense, really.
As the opening for the door is not symmetrical, Gino sends a message to Nick.
Gino and I might express ourselves slightly differently. However, Gino and I are quite upfront. I don't hold back, and he doesn't hold back.
The last email I sent was harsh. Maybe I should have sat on it for a little longer before reacting.
Obviously, they went away and thought about it and shoved an email off saying that they were unhappy that the design was wrong. And I don't accept that.
I probably picked the wrong couple of words in one of the emails I sent. I used the words wrong design because from customer's point of view, we'd had some requirements. It wasn't on the design and therefore the design was wrong.
Certainly to accuse me of getting the design wrong was a slur in a professional way because, as I've often said to clients, when you have a feasibility or an inception of a design, there are several ways of doing things, several ways of designing things, and none of them are wrong. It is very much a subjective matter. If they don't like the design, how can we possibly proceed if they don't like the design? If the design's wrong, they can't like it.
Well, in my eyes as a customer, there was no way I could read the plans. You know, these builders, they use these funny rulers and they can measure something and then it tells them how big, you know, it's going to be. Well, I'm not trained up in that, so I can't read it.
I take things quite personally because they're important to me. They're my neighbours. I've done the best I can for them. In order to resolve the issue, or attempt to resolve the issue, we've exchanged a couple of emails and we're having a bit of a standoff because I think he's as stubborn as I am, really.
With tension mounting, Nick leaves the site. His men continue alone. In Broadstone, an issue around the symmetry of a door opening has upset both builder and clients. A series of emails have been exchanged, even though they live only 2 doors from each other.
These steel beams have been designed by the engineer for that particular opening, which was always on the plan. It caused a bit of a rumpus, should we say. Whether they understood the plan or not, unfortunately, you try as hard as you can, but ultimately, if they didn't appreciate, I explained to them that that pier's always been retained because it's quite an important structural pier.
The last thing I want to do is walk out my house every morning and feel like I've got to bow my head if I bump into him, or we're not comfortable enough to say good morning to each other or anything like that. But then I wrote him a note. I think it was on a Friday evening. I just left it on his doorstep and just said, look, forgetting the build, we're still neighbours. Don't want to fall out. You know, just give us a chat and we'll try and work it through and talk out some kind of resolution. And then on the Saturday morning, he rang me, and then we got together in the house later that Saturday morning and just discussed where we were both coming from, and just worked it through from there, really.
He's extended an olive branch in the form of a bottle of wine, and we're going to crack that together. So, yeah, all things are good. At least I got a bottle of wine out of it, which I wouldn't have got otherwise. So.
Other than that, no, we didn't really learn an awful lot other than I was right and he was wrong. No, I'm joking. Okie dokie. Catch you later. Cheers, Nick.
After their standoff, it's agreed that the door opening will stay unchanged. Despite the hiccup, the build is on schedule. Kerry and Gino are due to move from their caravan and back into their home in 13 weeks' time.
For me, the next stage is the roof. It's seeing, once I see the roof all fully structured and on, then I think that's another big part of the build ticked off, really. I have a much clearer idea of what it will look like at the end, and I will probably be the one steering choices for finishes. You would agree, wouldn't you?
To finish, they need a bricklayer. But Wayne has failed to turn up, and the site sits empty.
So, how is your shoulder? Yeah, I understand that. No, I understand that exactly, yeah. That was the main man himself, Wayne. He's been working on the project, Gino and Kerry's, and Friday was, as far as I know, he was fine, but yeah, he was clearly hiding an injury which he picked up about 2 months ago on another contract with another contractor where he damaged his shoulder, and despite being told by his boss, aka his wife, to go to casualty, he soldiered on, as we do, and I think he's borne the consequences, to be fair. From a commercial point of view, it's oh dear, to put it mildly. We've got a situation, we've got to get it sorted. No point in commercial sense worrying about we haven't got a bricklayer there, we've got to get one there. And we're now looking at probably 2 to 3 days delay, I would say, in real terms.
In Broadstone, work on the site has resumed as another bricklayer has been drafted in.
We're off to Gino and Kerry's to hook up with Wayne, the bricklayer. He's been out of action sunning himself for 4 days, and he's going to make an appearance again tomorrow. So we need to just go through a few things on where we've got to while he's been away, nursing his injury, and what we're actually planning to do tomorrow and during next week. So you're definitely okay for tomorrow?
Yeah, back tomorrow, mate. I can't afford any more time off.
The all-important question is, has the boss given you her clearance to come back to work?
She's not entirely happy about it, but as she well knows, if I don't work, I don't earn. So, luxury of being self-employed.
So I suppose it was a catch-22.
Yeah, so, and mentally, I can't stand watching a lot more daytime TV.
Yeah.
We want one more block here, I think. One, I think.
Those outside walls have been done, and then today we were waiting for those structural supports. So now the roof should really alter, and the whole framework should be redone.
As the structural beams for the roof are being fitted, there are now 11 weeks until the deadline.
Right, just need another bod down here with me, fellas, if you would.
An injured shoulder and difficulty with deliveries have led to a 3-week delay to Kerry and Gino's moving-in date.
The end of October is what we think is a realistic target of when we're likely to move back into the house.
In Broadstone, the roof is on. In 5 weeks, Kerry and Gino will abandon their caravan and move back into their home.
Job done, mate. Nice and tidy.
That's what this is all about, isn't it?
It was a risk, it was a gamble. We could have had daggers at dawn. You just don't know. The eggs flying across the fences, who knows? But luckily for us, as neighbours, we're still smiling at each other. All right, boss?
Yeah. Oh. Back at you.
Pardon?
Back at you.
Back at you.
Boss.
I am the boss.
I know.
I probably will never want to go into a caravan ever again, not even on a holiday.
Even though they're over budget by £6,000 and 3 weeks late, Kerry and Gino finally move back home and promptly put their beloved caravan up for sale.
I love it. I love it. I'm really happy. That's exactly what I wanted, and I wouldn't change anything.
It's a lot better than we could have anticipated. You know, a few years ago, we could never have dreamt of having a house that we've got, so it's absolutely superb.
Remembrance Day on the Falklands brings the conflict close to home as BBC Two visits a new island parish next. Then spring has officially sprung, so plenty of work to do with Gardener's World at 8:30.